a contributor to New York Magazine named Olivia Nuzzi, back in 2015, shared an article titled, "Why Can't Hollywood Get Female Journalists Right?" And this article cited a bunch of different examples in Hollywood shows and movies in which female reporters are shown using sex or sex appeal in order to get stories, having sex with their sources in order to get stories. And I think this is probably quite accurate to reality.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say, but I do know that it makes perfect sense that if you're a female, if you're a very, very career-oriented, driven, and ambitious female journalist,
the option is right
you
there.
have a huge advantage over male journalists.
Yes, you
That's
do.
all I'm saying.
It's right there on a silver platter.
Yeah, you're trying to get someone to spill their secrets for you.
It immediately made me think of House of Cards with Kate Mara.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah.
So Kate Mara's character hooks up with Frank Underwood so that she can get information on him.
She gets access to because he starts feeding her information so that he can start taking out his political rivals.
And then they also cited Nightcrawler, in which, quote, a deeply cynical newswoman played by Renee Rousseau is held sexual hostage by psycho villain freelancer Jake Gyllenhaal. They did mention House of Cards here. Bunch of different projects.
I mean, House of Cards is a strong message that when you do that, it doesn't end well.
Rosario Dawson in Top 5, where she is assigned to profile a frustrated actor played by Chris Rock, who is struggling to reinvent himself as a serious actor after a number of comedic roles. Romance develops, plot twists happen, and if Rosario Dawson's character has any sense of journalistic ethics, viewers never know it, which is why some women journalists, not surprisingly, didn't love the movie. And what followed was an opinion piece. Memo to Hollywood. Female journalists don't sleep with their subjects.
Here's the problem. We have this story.
Yeah, Shot Chaser. Olivia Nuzzi, who at the time shared this opinion piece, has now been exposed for doing the very same thing. She was reportedly sexting with RFK Jr.
Wait, so is this like the sexual version of I didn't inhale? It's like we didn't actually have sex, it was just sexting?
Yeah, so here's her official statement after the controversy. She said, earlier this year, the nature of some communication between myself and a former reporting subject, RFK Jr., turned personal. During that time, I did not directly report on the subject nor use them as a source. Oh, okay. Journalist ethics, totally intact.
Also,
the relationship was never physical, but should have been disclosed to prevent the appearance of a conflict, and I deeply regret not doing so immediately. I apologize to those I've disappointed, especially my colleagues at New York Magazine.
So journalistic ethics is an oxymoron. Might not even be oxy.
So maybe Hollywood is right about these hoes. Maybe they had it right all along.
Look, from the Hollywood perspective, it's simply more interesting storytelling, right?
Yeah, and I honestly think that it probably is a little more accurate to reality than they'd like to think.
I would love to be able to have on some staffers from DC to ask for the dirt on this. Like, you don't have to give us names. Just, give us some examples, right? This happens, right?
Like, I remember this chick, Christine Smythe, I believe was her name, was writing a profile on Martin Shkreli when he was serving his prison sentence. Okay. And she went to visit him many times.
She had to get the story right?
Depending on who you ask, the story sounds different. But something romantic rather than professional budded from there. And it was obviously a major blow to her reputation professionally that happened. And she defended her decisions. But this happens quite often. And I don't know, how do you guys feel about the way that Hollywood portrays journalists in general? Mm-hmm. I feel like it's usually very positive. Overtly praising them and seeing them as freedom fighters and truth tellers.
Right.
It's their speaking
Aaron
truth
Brockovich.
to power.
Yeah.
They're speaking truth to power. Yeah, because the problem is if you make a movie about unscrupulous journalists, you then have to go to those news networks to promote your movie.
Right.
So they're like, why would we promote that?
Which, like, we happened to be talking about on IRL last night with Matt Walsh, talking about his struggle to get critics at mainstream outlets to write reviews for this movie. Despite it having a lot of organic interest, they're refusing to do so because of their own political biases. And, you know, similarly, I assume that if there were a movie they had to review that paints journalists in a bad light, they would also ignore that.
Yeah.
Right.
Conveniently ignore it.
Yeah.
I remember like watching that Harvey Weinstein movie, She Said, on a flight one time.
That's what I was thinking of, right? It's those types of movies. There was also the one with Mark Ruffalo where he's the journalist and he's going to get the story on the town that's got like, it's like their water supply is poisoned or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. It might be a different story, but it was also about a journalist going out to tell a story.
Right. But
What about Civil
She
War?
Said is
Those
like
I was going to say, so
a
I
love
thought,
letter to journalists.
yeah, I thought Civil War, somebody told me that Civil War doesn't actually show journalists in the best light, which would be kind of based.
Really?
I don't know. I know
From
it's
the trailer, I just would have assumed it did. Did you ever watch it?
Yeah, I watched it. I feel like there were some like realistic moments where she had like PTSD and all that maybe showed them as more human.
Okay.
But like they're at like the potential end of the world and like their entire focus is like getting this story. I don't know.
And it's like, bro, the power grid is about to go out. No one is going to read that.
Yeah, I know. Like, the problem I had with that movie was that exact thing was like that's not what that movie should be about.
Hopefully those people would be, you know, going back to their families.
Right.
And getting in the bunker. We have a 20 from VWit. Sorry. A woman using her wiles to get information. No, never would happen. We all know all women are boss baby. Yes, queens. Changed my mind.
I like
Yes,
the idea that the female
Yes.
spies are also mad. They're like, stop showing us in movies using sex to get the information that we need. That's not what we do.
But there's an entire course at Quantico about that. Like that's a
Wait,
fact.
tell me more.
There's a course on honeypotting your marks.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's
yeah.
a real, and it's been there. It's still there. It's been there since the inception of the FBI and the
Right.
CIA.
I mean, look at Eric Swalwell. What
Oh
happened
my
with
gosh,
him?
I totally forgot
So,
about that too.
You know, it's just, it is. I would actually find it more interesting to see the movie about the woman who unashamedly goes forward and does this to get the story, telling truth to power, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't they make that movie about Fox News?
Just own it.
Maybe.
Bombshell. Yeah, I
Bombshell,
watched that
right, yeah.
too, but unfortunately, did you ever watch it?
I did, yeah.
Okay, I don't know how you felt about it, but after I watched it, I was like, okay, these dumb hoes. Like, they were just trying to make these reporters seem like victims, and over again, you see them choosing to put their moral principles aside in order to get ahead in their career. So how am I supposed to feel bad for them?
Margot Robbie with the skirt scene.
Yeah, that exactly.
Made me so uncomfortable. But like, yeah, so she is clearly uncomfortable and not enjoying it, but she can leave at any point.
Yeah.
It's you've made the decision that career advancement and getting what you want is more important to you in that moment than feeling comfortable, and your morals are for sale.
Right.
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 Right. And that scene, of course, is supposed to make you uncomfortable because he's this like sleazy, disgusting old man who's using his power to get sexual access to women who obviously don't want to have sex with him.
Right.
Clearly, you know, everyone pretty much agrees that that is evil. But when I'm watching this adult character going along with it in order to get the job that she wants or the
Right.
promotion that she wants,
I think that was
and
just a
then,
story. Like she was,
you know,
like, gonna be-
complaining about it later that she was a victim. It's like, yeah, there are power dynamics, blah, blah, blah. But like,
You could have said no too.
you could have left.
You could have just been like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
I did
Yeah.
like this thread that Phil responded to where this woman essentially says that Olivia Nunn, she's like a 30-year-old child. She's like, I'm going to leave this here. Maybe, just maybe, consider RFK's role as a 70-year-old on a 31-year-old female reporter.
Whoa.
Like, what do you,
Whoa.
she's a 30-year-old child, you sick fuck.
Wait, this is her actual Twitter account? Like, this isn't a parody?
This is another person. This is not her. This is just somebody tweeting about
okay,
this.
okay.
And Phil responded, yes, so she has no agency whatsoever as a 30-year-old woman. Well, then why is she able to vote, own property, do any of these things?
I don't know. I
That's a
think
good question.
we should move the age of adulthood up though. I don't think 18 is no longer an adult. I think people at that age are just not capable of critical thought at this point. And I'm not sure how you figure that out, but like, I know 18-year-olds that are just straight, and no offense to you if you're watching, but you are just not that bright yet, man. You have a lot of things to learn before you understand who to vote for, how to pay taxes. I know 18-year-olds that don't even have driver's license because they don't know how to navigate the DMV.
We were just talking about that the other day. I said I got my license at 18 and a half because I was scared to drive. Like I'm more of an adult now than I was at 18.
Sure.
That's the truth. I've heard that take on the show before. People did not like it.
I was thrust into the DMV at 16. Like, figure it out, son.
Yeah.
That's the best way to learn things, is to be forced to just figure it out, unfortunately.
Right.
You retain the information better when you have to actively use your brain to figure it out.
Navigating bureaucracy is the worst part.
That is the worst part.
As we've learned while trying to get our YouTube play button.
Now, aside from all of this, like aside from, journalistic ethics and like the idea of like hearing RFK's voice say like trying to dirty talk is nightmarish.
I'm assuming this was through text message. I'm assuming this is through text.
He was sending audio messages. He was sending her voice notes.
What are you wearing? Are you wearing? What color are your underwear? I cut the head off of a whale once. Do you want to get some baby oil? You gotta sound like you're suffocating the entire time.
I can't.
So horrible.
I got some from Diddy.
I got that.
Do you want to freak off?
Like, it's just bone chilling.
All your stilettos.
Just remember.
Step on my nutsack.
As this is saying that women are not full adults at 30 anymore. They're not capable of making their own rational decisions. We have to just lock them up in a child-proof container at home, put a little gate around the door, and only let them out when they go to work. And when they come home, you have to double check and make sure they got all their stuff with them. They're not adults, apparently.
Make sure they drink water.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, they have to get the big, basically the big Yeti jug of water.
Well, no, they need like
the big adult sippy cup.
On the cage, you put like one of those hamster.
On the cage.
Have you seen they're doing that? They're doing that in babies' cribs now.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. I'm not sure why we weren't doing that like 50 years ago. It's a great idea.
It makes things so much more efficient.
I got my kids a guinea pig when they were like 6 or 7 years old, and I remember when I first hooked that thing up, I'm like, yo, this is a brilliant idea for kids.
I mean, to what you were saying, I think a big part of the problem with the fact that 18-year-olds aren't as mature or independent is because 18-year-olds back in the day, had this like overconfidence about themselves. Because, oh, you're so young, you think you know it all. That doesn't exist anymore. 18-year-olds today are like, I'm baby.
Even when
I'm baby.
18-year-old today is like, I'm baby and I can't do anything.
Even when I was
Adulting
young,
is tough.
Even when I was young, I had my own offshoot of that. Was like, I'm smart enough to know that I don't know everything, which makes you feel like you know everything.
Yeah.
I thought I knew everything when I was 18, but I also joined the military. Like, I was like, I'm just going to go to the military and then I'll go to school and I'll get a good job afterwards and I'll be rich. That's not how any of that shit works. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cuss.
That's okay.
That's not any
Totally
of
fine.
any of that
In
stuff
the grand
works.
scale of RFK dirty talk and swearing, I'll take
saying
swearing.
shit.
I'll take
Like,
swearing any day.
That's
of the week.
okay.
I joined the military at 18. And then I went to the DMV and asked someone to step
You're
on
30. You're so
also, he's not-
mature for
he's
your
like,
age.
I'm
I'm not gonna get you baby oil. I'm gonna get you seed oils. I'm gonna cover you with seed oils.
I prefer avocado oil and some monounsaturated fats.
The idea that RFK uses seed oils
He
as
does.
lube.
He does.
You know he does. You know he does.
That's how he gets freaky.
Organic seed oils, and all from Trader Joe's.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.